Hello, Internet. Welcome back to another edition of Eric's Corner with a word of the not so wise. I did my episode on some financial advice or some financial inspiration, and like I told you, I kind of went off the cuff and I didn't prepare any notes, and I missed a bunch of key points that I wanted to hit, but that's okay. So now I can hit them in another video that'll hopefully be more to the point and hopefully be a lot shorter, but we'll see. Um, One of the things I want to talk about, so you work 40 hours a week. So in 4 weeks or a month, you're working 160 hours. It makes a lot of sense to me if you're going to work 160 hours a week to spend, I don't know, a couple hours a year, which is all it takes to kind of watch where your money's going and to move it around and invest it. I mean, I personally commute 30 minutes each way to Homer every day, most of the time to go to work doing construction because that's where most of it is. So I got to work 30 minutes just to break even on the gas that it costs me to get there. Not even taking wear and tear and oil changes and tires into account on my vehicle, depreciation of my vehicle. So got to make sure to look at the bigger picture here. So I mean that's another 20 hours a month that I spend. So we'll do some really bad math here and say, hey, so I'm working 180 hours a month. And that 30 minutes a day that it takes to buy just the gas to get there is, that's another 10, 20 hours a month that I'm not making money essentially. So we're talking almost 200 hours a month. I mean, again, really bad math that it takes me to make this money. So you have apps, you have all these things that make things real easy to do things on auto deposit and so forth. Use them. I saw a meme that kind of made a good point. It said, if the latte factor, which I believe Susie Orman coined that term, like, cut out your little expenses and save that money instead. And somebody's like, well, if you cut all those out in 10 years, you got an extra 12 grand, still nowhere near enough to buy a house in today's market, much less in, whatever 10 years from now houses could be worth. But I'm gambling on a huge housing market correction here very soon. I've been saying that for a lot of years, but eventually I'll be right. But buying a house is no longer the goal. You need to put some money away for retirement, which I mean, I beat that horse to death in my other video, but if you, just because you can barely afford something doesn't mean you can pay for it. I mean, that new truck or whatever you need, that $40,000 truck, if you bought that one truck or car or whatever, you paid it off, and I'm using 40,000 as kind of I feel like it's kind of an average to buy something new. If you feel like you got to buy one every time you pay it off, it's like, well, that should last fairly reliably for 10 years, you'd think. I mean, they're building a garbage product, and I've covered that in other videos too. But if you can make that car payment, but all of a sudden you pay it off and you can't put that money into retirement or another account, you're doing something very wrong. Run it till the wheels fall off of it. You don't got to keep up with the Joneses here. I mean, nobody's really doing very well just because they buy a new vehicle all the time. It's costing you way more. I mean, if you instead pay a car off in 5 years, put that car payment, what you were making, into a retirement account and not buying another $40,000 vehicle, that $40,000 vehicle over that 5 years is not costing you 40 grand. It's costing you $1 million in retirement. Because yes, pull up a retirement calculator on the internet and put some numbers in and see what things could realistically be worth if you invest. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about capitalism and what we have going on. Most countries don't have any availability for something like this. I'm going to pick on, the diesel truck owners a lot because a lot of people feel like that's the optimum vehicle to drive. And oh God, just a big waste of money. 90% of the people that got them are not even come close to needing one. From 95 to the late 90s-ish, to like the early 2000s, 05-ish, half-ton trucks took a major leap in technology. You know, my 2010 Tundra will pull a 10,000 pound load just fine up Baycrest, which is, you know, a 3-mile long hill that's about the steepest hill and longest hill between here and Fairbanks. And I've done it twice in the 5 years I've been here. Does that really justify a diesel truck? I mean, I got rid of my 450 because I was like, well, it's not making me any money. You have to, something like that has to be making you money. Now, if you come up with the disposable income, which I really hope everybody can, to me, once you have the disposable income, you need to be making 25% over your house payment, maxing out your Roth IRA, $4,000 a year, $6,000 a year, put 25% of your income into savings, put in the total index. I discussed that before. Don't try to buy individual stocks because that's a losing game, trust me. And I mentioned don't try to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, if you need to show people what you have so bad, don't do it in a truck. Print out your freaking Roth and your savings, you know, not with account numbers, obviously. Print it out and put it on your window. Hey, I'm driving this piece of shit, but hey, look, I got a bunch of money in the bank. Hey, I've got health insurance. I've got these things covered. If you need to flex for some reason, because fancy things is not how to do it. I mean, yes, granted, I like fully loaded big diesel trucks. I would absolutely love to have, well, you know, a business that warrants that kind of truck so I can drive it around. They're freaking awesome. But marketing has done such a good job of convincing you that you need these things and you just don't. I mean, I get it. You should be looking at the guy with better things and going, hey, that's what I aspire to want. But make sure you're not keeping yourself broke just to think you're moving up in classes, and you're really not. This is a really good point I meant to make in the other video. If you can max out your Roth IRA January 1st, let's say you put 15 grand a year away. I know that sounds absurd, but I'm just using an example. If you can max it out January 1st and say put $4,000 in versus putting $340 a month away through the year, you will have a lot more money over 40 years of investing. I know that's an incredibly hard sale to make, but pull up a calculator and it will show you that what I'm telling you is not incorrect, not totally complete information, just being that it's very hard to save that kind of money. I'm not saying I did this because I didn't, but my parents kind of managed my accounts for a lot of years, and I'd send some money and be like, hey, throw them in some accounts. But you got a phone with apps, set up auto deposits. I've been preaching this to the younger guys at work, like, hey, set something up. If you put $20 a month in there, you think, oh, well, that's not a significant amount of money enough to really be helpful. Like, well, again, buying a house isn't the goal. It's to have something in retirement. If you retire with an extra $500,000, you withdraw an extra 60 grand a year, let's say, in 10 years, you haven't withdrawn $600,000. If you withdraw an amount that's under what you're getting in interest from that, say, $500,000, you know, over 10 years minus 600,000, well, you still got 250,000 left over, because what's left in there will keep making you money. So, hang on one second. Yeah, money will add up quicker. I covered that. Yeah, I think I covered everything. Trying to keep this more to the point and keep a shorter video here. But please invest your money. I mean, my buddy's mom was like, oh, even if you put $25 a paycheck away, I'm like, well, what's the good's that going to do? Well, she didn't mention compounding interest and, making payments on stuff. You think like, oh, well, this truck is only $300 a month. Oh, well, I'm going to take out a personal loan for a four-wheeler. Well, that's only a couple $100 a month. Couple $100 a month. Well, next thing you know, you're burning up half a paycheck, half of the next 5 years worth of your paychecks on things you don't really have to have. Now, I get it. Not everybody has a shop like I do to do oil changes and maintenance, and not everybody has the mechanical inclination I do and the hobby. I mean, I enjoy doing these things. I get that, but you're going to need to learn how to do it and figure it out, because it's very expensive to not maintain things. And, buying something old, and well, I can buy an old truck and I can keep it running for, indefinitely, as long as it doesn't rust away to nothing, which they do up here really bad. I understand that, but you have friends that can do this, people that can, have people teach you how to do it, because, you can't always take your stuff to a shop, especially when you, again, like I mentioned, you can barely afford it, doesn't mean that you can pay for it. You got to, you're gonna have to figure out how to work on shit. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We've strayed very far away. I mean, again, I know some of you can be working on stuff in your driveway, but I mean, it's what you're gonna have to do. And that's just to name one thing. And I harp on vehicle payments a lot because, again, people are buying vehicles all the time and it's keeping you bankrupt. I bought, almost brand new Silverado when I was 20 years old, and I paid it off, and I owned it for 11 years, and I had to put a transmission in it. And, I just did it. And then I upgraded to a big diesel truck, and man, I couldn't get rid of that thing fast enough. I bought a trailer for cheap down south and towed it up here and sold the truck here at a premium and and doubled my money off the toy hauler, which I understand that's not an option for everybody, but you gotta find something to do to make a little passive income and non-taxable income. That's why the Roth IRA is important, because it's a tax reason, or a tax, I don't know if tax shelter is the right word, but that's why you can only put $4,000 to $6,000 in it, because you can't have wealthy people just hiding their money in it. Oh, let's put a couple $1,000,000 in it and then, leave it as an inheritance or whatever. So, it's expensive being poor, because you can't leverage like money like people with lots of money can. So I think I covered it and more. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you real soon. Have a good rest of your weekend.